like they're lining up. Well, they're excited.
Woo!
What's up, everybody? Hello, hello.
Hey guys.
How's it going, y'all? We are the Sons of Mjolnir. This is our brand new podcast that we are starting for you guys, as guys that you all know from Twitter. I'm Gorgon. Y'all know me on Twitter as the Last Gorgon, or you can call me Colt. I answer to pretty much anything.
Yeah. I'm TJ, aka Fat Thor, is what you guys probably know me by. And yeah, we just decided to all come together, bring our talents, and bring you guys a good show.
I am Matthew, or Matt, but you probably know me as Cap on Twitter. You can call me either of those, but just don't call me late for dinner.
Best Captain America page on Twitter.
Best Cap account out there. And just another thing, guys, this is our first podcast, so please bear with us. We are kind of still learning and getting through the things, but we just want to make a great show for you guys. We wanted to create a place where we can come and just nerd out and talk about the things that we're reading and kind of discuss with you guys. What are you guys reading?
I mean, I think everybody knows that. Oh, you go ahead, Cap. You have at it.
I'm actually reading City of Us. I started Court of Us after my second time watching the Batman. Now I've made it onto City of Us. It's probably one of my favorite Batman runs ever. Like,
so you've seen the Batman twice now, right?
Twice, yep.
And did you love it more the second time?
I did, and I'm ready for a third.
I've only got to see it once. I am failing as a nerd right now.
Yeah, I'm still on my first viewing too, but I think about it enough.
Oh yeah. Think
What's
about
your
it in your
favorite?
sleep,
After seeing it twice, what's your favorite scene in the Batman now?
Ooh.
And did it change from seeing it the first time to seeing it twice?
No, every time someone asks me that, the first thing that pops into my head is always the ending. You see Batman carrying out the little girl in his arms. That's just peak.
I love that.
Love it.
Not only that, but I'll add on to that. I would agree with you. That's probably my favorite scene as well. But to add on to that was I think it's the same scene, but just a little bit after which by the way, spoilers, everybody who hasn't seen the Batman yet. But so when he carries out the girl and
Batman?
Yeah, right. Who hasn't seen it? But just in case for anyone out there that hasn't. But when he lays her out on the stretcher and she grabs for his arm and they just kind of look at each other, and I don't know, that part to me was just I don't know, just really hit me good. And I was like, damn, that's a good ass scene. And the way Rob Patz fucking acts it, it was really good. The way he sees him as a hero finally, and he sees himself as a hero. That I don't know. Shouts out Matt Reeves, because that was a great scene.
I'm getting chills, man. I'm getting chills.
Right? It's just such a subtle thing, but I don't know. To me, that's one of the best parts of the whole movie.
Oh man. It's just everything about it is so good.
Yeah, it is. I will not. This isn't a criticism for me, but I will say it is a long movie for sure. If you're not into long films, I can definitely see where someone might think it drags a little bit. But like I said, to me, I don't mind long films. So that's not a problem for me. But like I said, if I can say anything about it, if, for the people that might criticize it, I can understand that.
That's fair.
Yeah. I can get behind the long film criticism. But at the same time, you don't really feel the 3 hours, do you? It just sort of, it's nice. I like it. I don't know.
Well, not only that, but I'm the kind of person that I'll binge an entire season of TV in a day. So it's compared to that, what is a 3-hour movie?
I mean, I'm ADHD as hell, right? And I suffer from time blindness so bad. Right. My staff at work regularly tells me, they're like, dude, you have no concept of time other than what time you need to be here, and a system for counting down at the end of the day. Other than that, time is a mystery to you. And I'm like, absolutely. To me, there's something cathartic about seeing people struggle with time blindness leaving a movie theater, right? Because they're like, wow, it was 3 hours. That's crazy. What just happened? And I'm like, dude, that is every day for me. Like all the time. Like, welcome to my world, right? Like, I don't know. I kind of find it funny.
Yeah, I'm also too, like, I can really get sucked into something like a movie or something. So like 3 hours, like I'm in it, you know what I mean? Like for all those 3 hours. So like you said, I'll come out like, wait, what? It's 12 at night. What the hell?
Oh God, my showing got out at 12:30 at night. I think I was sending y'all messages in the group chat around 1 a.m. my time. I came home like the girlfriend's asleep on the couch hanging off, the dog's asleep on the floor, and I'm like trying to creep through the house like Catwoman to not wake anyone up. Yeah, man.
I see, I'm not even like that. Like I can't binge stuff unless it's something I'm really interested in. Like
Really?
the likes of Batman or the Captain America films, I could binge all three of them from one sitting without a doubt. But see, for I don't know, just a regular old movie, it's hard to keep my interest.
Not a binger?
No, not really.
So
It depends. It depends.
Dude, I'll devour a TV show or something. Like, it's disgusting. I think me and my girl, we did Game of Thrones in like 2 weeks. Like, we just went through it, dude. Like, it was not healthy.
Well, to be fair, Supernatural, I can binge the shit out of that. But anything else,
gotta love Supernatural.
Supernatural.
I love me some Supernatural, man.
Now we gotta make another Supernatural podcast.
Oh yeah.
I'm down. What are you reading, Thor, right now? Like, what's the most recent thing you've read? Like, Cap just read Court of Owls again. Like, what are you reading?
Well, I've been playing catch up for the last couple weeks now. So what I'm reading changes basically by the minute. But I have the last couple days, I did make a pretty good dent in my stack. I would probably say most recent was Strange. The new Strange with Clea as Sorcerer Supreme.
Nice.
Okay. So spoiler free, since it just came out and we don't want to be those people to everybody yet after the first issue, how was it? Because I just finished reading this.
Yes.
I just bought in paperback to read it for the first time and had an absolute thrill. So like, how well does Clea pick up where all this left off and the burden given on her at the end by Steven?
So I also loved Death of Doctor Strange. I'll be the first one to admit I am not a Doctor Strange expert by any means or a Clea expert by any means. So I mean, I've read Strange here and there, but before this Death of Doctor Strange, I haven't read a Strange run in a long time. So I kind of went into it just very fresh and just ready for just kind of an adventure. And to me, it fit all the requirements. It was a nice, cool murder mystery, and I loved it. But as far as the new issue goes for Strange with Clea, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was super cool. Again, I'm not an expert on her character at all, really. What I know is basically what I read in Death of Doctor Strange and, issues I've read here and there of her. But I was fully on board with her as Sorcerer Supreme. And not to spoil it for anybody, but there's a really good part with her and Doctor Doom. Because, I mean, we all know that Doctor Doom is always after that Sorcerer Supreme title. And again, not to spoil it, but she throws the fuck down. And she lets it be known that she is Sorcerer Supreme now. Doom can get fucked, basically. Excuse my French, but yeah, she lays down the law in a big way, and I was all for it. The art was also incredible. Really, really good splash page on there. I'm excited to see where it goes. As someone, like you said, who's not like super into the Doctor Strange vein, I'm excited to see where this goes. I think it's exciting.
Oh yeah. I just reread yesterday. So I had a problem with my local pull shop, like a lot of people do these days, where your indies get like back ordered or shipping delayed, I guess is the word I'm looking for, right? Like to be specific, like they don't arrive on the same day they're supposed to, right? So today's Monday, and today when I go into work, I'll go early so I can pick up last week's like boom and image and all that stuff that like was supposed to be there, because it's there today instead, right? So I'll go do that. So I've been rereading the first volume of Radiant Black, because like everybody on Twitter talked me into this new franchise, and I am nuts about it. The second volume for me should have in my hands tonight for me to pick up on. I'm playing catch up very quickly, and then it's immediately to the starter issues. But if y'all haven't read Radiant Black yet, it is awesome. I hate saying that I have a type, but I guess I have a type in the comics I like for broken sons picking up like the burdens and sins and trauma like their parents passed, right? Like, and there's so much of that thematically in the Radiant franchise already, particularly with Rogue Sun. And no surprise, Rogue Sun was probably my favorite so far out of Radiant Black, Radiant Red, and Rogue Sun being the three big key in this new Image universe.
Yeah, I've heard Rogue Sun was crazy good. I've seen people raving about it.
I made a joke a while back that it's Power Rangers death metal, but like I'm not wrong. Yeah. I'm fine with it. It's Power Rangers death metal. Like, let's go.
I mean, basically, right? I've been saying this for weeks. I mean, not even weeks, for longer than that. I know Derek, shout out Derek at the Weekly Polls, but he's gonna be like, I've been telling you to read this forever. But Radiant Black, I still need to catch up so bad. I know it's great. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that I will love it. I just need to pick up the trade and pull the trigger. I only read one issue, and the issue I read was really good, but I just had no idea what was going on. So I was like, this is cool, but I have no idea who these people are or what the hell's going on here. So I need to pull the trigger because everyone loves it. And I know, like I said, there's no doubt in my mind that it's fantastic.
Fair.
I haven't read any of them, so you're a step further than I am.
Yeah, I'm one step ahead of you, Cap.
We'll get you there.
We definitely
Eventually.
I would say we all need to, well, not all of us, me and you, Cap, we'll catch up, and then we'll have to really discuss Radiant Black.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a podcast about who's not reading what, okay? This is about what are we reading, okay?
Yeah,
There's
right.
too much out there. We can't read it all. I don't know.
I wish I could, though.
Too much.
So kind of got not off topic, but went over what we're reading and stuff. But I did want to kind of talk a little bit about why we decided to kind of come together and do this. So this is our first episode, and I mean, it really all came down to a conversation that we were just having with Gorgon, and we were just kind of talking in our chat. And Gorgon was saying, oh, I wish someone would invite me on a podcast so I could just nerd out about Venom. And I was just like, dude, me too. Like, I want to nerd out about Venom. Like, I want to nerd out about Thor, and Cap the same thing. So we were like, you know what? Why don't we just make our own podcast, start our own thing? And the idea really is to kind of bring all three of our strengths together. You probably know all of us separately on Twitter. And, Cap as our local Captain America expert, Gorgon on everything Hive Mind and Symbiote, me, Thor. And we thought, if we bring all three of those together, we could come out with something pretty cool and something that would be pretty fun.
That's the goal, right? Make it fun.
Cool as fuck, man.
Exactly.
No, I think you two have been on comic podcasts before, right? Both of you.
Just one.
No, I've never actually done one. I've been asked to do a couple, but I've never actually went on one.
Got you. Yeah. And I've had like a couple tweets that I know have like gone viral and ended up articled and stuff on Venom and in one of our friends' podcasts that we have. So this is all kind of new to all of us, really. Then, for the most part. Yeah.
I mean, we're all
please bear with us, people.
We're all basically podcast virgins. So
nice.
Like I said, I did one episode of the Weekly Polls, which again, shout out to the Weekly Polls. Go follow them. Go follow Derek, Grimace Wayne. But yeah, I was on their show for an episode to talk about Beta Ray Bill, because y'all know I love my man Beta Ray. My guy.
Well, that mini was incredible. Probably one of the best minis I read that year.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite. That was probably my favorite book of the year, even though it was a mini. Like I would say that was probably my favorite. It was just so good. Like it was brutal. It was heartbreaking. It was intense. It was heavy metal. Like it was awesome. It was just so good.
Best story of last year in Marvel Comics that they put out, period. I say that as somebody who like I Spider-Woman doesn't go in my unread stack, right? Venom doesn't go on my unread stack, right? Like we had parts of the Kingdom Black trickling into last year, right? With that, and like even with all of that, I'm still saying Bitter is perfect. It was the best story. I even tweeted about it this morning because I woke up and I was laughing to myself in the kitchen this morning, right? Thinking about how, like, because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? So much. And I was thinking about how would like Marvel characters like assess being there. And I just started laughing because Scourge can't even enjoy being in Valhalla, despite it being a paradise and everything. He's like, nope. No guns. 4 out of 10. Gotta get out of here. Gotta go hang with the homie and fight and have guns. Like it's comedic in the right ways. It's heartfelt in the right ways. I truly think that minis have become the new perfect medium for short storytelling. Once you have a whole volume in your hand of it to read in a single story, I think some of the minis this last year blew a lot of the ongoings emotionally, depth-wise, out of the water, right? Because we were talking about this earlier, you have to put all the emotion and depth of your story condensed into like 5 issues, as opposed to like a 2-year plan, right? I think you're getting some of the most heartfelt stories you can get of characters in these little 5-issue minis. I don't know. That's just where I'm at with comics right now. I find I like the minis a lot of times more than the ongoings.
Yeah. Well, I think it's too, we kind of were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I think a lot of it has to do with, and this isn't a criticism on either side, but when these writers are doing these big events and stuff like that, they have to coordinate with each other. You know what I mean? Like what Cates is doing in Thor right now, like has to somewhat correlate with what's going on in Hulk and what's going on with the Eternals, and because they share this universe. So, and that's not a criticism, but that does offer some restraints to the story you have to tell. And I think with these minis, it really allows these writers and artists to just kind of go wild and really just tell the story that they want to tell without the restraints of, oh, well, what's Ewing doing over on Venom and what's, so-and-so doing over here. I have these 5 issues. This is what I want to say in these 5 issues. And that's what I'm going to do. And I think that allows for a lot deeper storytelling and a lot richer kind of stories to come out and really dive deep into some of these characters like Beta Ray Bill.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think about it kind of like I don't know if either of you guys are huge hip hop heads or not, but when a rapper goes on like he's on a feature versus like his own song, right? And like, when you're doing your own song or your own album, you have this whole kind of concept that you're trying to, portray. But when you're on a feature, you can just go crazy. And like, I forget who it was, but someone was talking about that. And they're like, oh, I love features because I don't have to come up with some crazy concept. I can just go crazy and just rap. And I think it's kind of similar. Like these writers can just write, they can just write their story, do what they want. And then, once they get to an event, then they can worry about, how this all connects to everything else.
Speaking of events, don't we have events coming up that we're going to be talking about for you guys? Speaking of the whole like Thor Hulk thing that TJ just mentioned over here, right? Like we have Banner of War coming up, and we're going to be talking about that for you guys, getting you guys all prepared for it and jumping into it hard as the event takes off. And then right afterwards, Cap, don't you have something very special going on in the land of Captain America right now, or about to be?
Yes, I do indeed. Actually, next month. It's March now. So next month we have the new Captain America issue 0 with Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers. That's going to be pretty crazy.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, didn't they just release the previews? Hasn't that been making the rounds on Twitter right now?
Yes. See that preview for issue 0, man.
Dude, the preview looks so good. The one with them doing like the Predator, like
yes,
bros. Oh, it was so good.
Oh man, I stared at that for a good easily 6 hours.
That's like I've been staring at this for 5 hours.
He's like, it's my new screensaver and wallpaper.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm excited for both of those.
Same.
Oh, 100%.
So I would say, so Cap, fill me in a little bit because I didn't read Cap's last run. Don't be too mad at me. But so fill me in a little bit. So like when this run starts, like where's Cap at right now? Like where do you know like where this is kind of starting? Like, can you fill me in a little bit?
I think it's going to end off the back of Devil's Reign, actually, judging from where they left Winter Soldier and stuff like that.
Okay.
See, I'm one issue behind on Devil's Reign, so not 100% sure.
You got to catch up on Devil's Reign, dude. It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't think Cap, I mean, I think he's in the issue, but I don't think he does much in issue 5, if I'm remembering correctly.
Y'all are gonna hate me. I am not reading Devil's Reign at all.
Oh, Gorgon, what are you doing?
I'm reading Villains for Hire.
Okay.
Because I have like attachment to the writer and to Agony being there. I think because Devil's Reign with Agony being there is picking up off the backs of where we last saw her in Extreme Carnage. At the end of it, right? And like Gemma, her host, plays the long con, right? She's here about power and about structure, and she's trying to find Carnage is the end of it. And we know Wilson Fisk is a man of secrets. And so I don't feel like Agony would be working for Fisk unless he has something to give her in turn, right? Because she has no reason to be a puppet just helping him do their stuff in the city. So I'm reading it right now because I'm very invested on what like's happening with her. But then in like issue 2 of it, freaking US agent comes in and just raffle stomps everybody, right? I throws it down like he's just God for a minute. I'm really interested to see what they're doing with him off the backs of him coming from, we just had the United States of Captain America with him. And before that, we had him in USA in the little US agent mini by Priest. So he's had a weird little transition. And so I feel like we're getting some interesting stories and looks at characters who I think are going to have a very big part to play soon. So I'm reading that one. Unfortunately, Devil's Reign is one of those I know I just want to sit down and read all in one go. So I'm waiting till it's all out in a trade so I can just buy the trades and just binge all in a single sitting.
Yeah, I think it will be great.
Fair, yeah.
A single read, like to just binge it all in one, because each issue definitely leaves off like kind of cliffhanger. You know what I mean? Like, oh fuck, like when is the next issue coming? Like,
well, I did the same thing with Strange, right? I bought the first issue of the event and then immediately decided, nope, taking off the pull list. I want the trade. I want to binge this all in one go. Like I don't want to have to play catch up every time a new issue's out. I just want it all in one.
Yeah. Have either of you guys read Daredevil? Zdarsky
Yes.
Daredevil?
Yes.
Okay, I was saying good. At least we're all on the same page there. Zdarsky Daredevil is so good.
That's one of my favorite runs, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. I'm still kicking myself for taking it off my pull list.
I picked it up during King in Black and read it on from there. So I caught like the last quarter before it was canceled, right? Before the restart on that. And it has been awesome. Getting to Daredevil was hard because the issue that like really kicked it off and went big during King in Black event, right? Like all of a sudden you couldn't find it, right? It was one of the most sought after issues. I legitimately found one comic book shop in my town with it. Asked me how much I paid for a single issue. They upcharged because they were the only people who had it. Asked me how much I paid.
How much, Gorgon?
$16 for a single issue. I kid you not. I wish I still had the receipt. $16 for that single issue of Daredevil during King in Black that nobody could find. Because I just had to have it.
Yeah.
What?
Damn. I mean,
That's the-
honestly, though, that's not too bad. You'd probably find it for at least like 30, 40 now.
fair, but for a brand new like day one
Yeah.
issue, that's the most I've ever paid for like a brand new day one.
Oh yeah. Well, that just happened
Wow.
too with what was it? Thor. It was either Thor 21 or Thor 20. It like literally went like that, and then I had it in my pull list, thankfully. But I went to the shop and they had one there for like 12, 15 bucks, and I'm like, this literally came out yesterday. Like, what the hell?
Is that the one with Gary Frank cover?
I think it was the one right after that.
Right.
I think Gary Frank was 19 and 20. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure 20 was the beginning of God of Hammers. So that was like everyone was like, oh
yeah.
shit.
Right.
Yeah. Just in case the God of Hammers next on the live screen, then you have yourself.
Kate's fan prediction, I think Thor is going to be the run that he gets to work on the longest in Marvel.
Kate's?
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
do.
I mean,
he pulled some weird stuff with Venom, saying like, you know, I'm going to be doing this for a while, but then like weird stuff being like, no, I've known how it's going to end from the start. Like the end is soon, right? Like very, like we understood. Although he says for a while, he means until he's wrapped up with his story, right? Yeah. Like he hasn't really said anything about the end of Thor. And like when asked about like, you know, your numbers are getting close to that of your Venom run, like how much more do you have to go? He's like, I still have a lot to go.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to have him Thor for a while.
Yeah, I just saw a couple days ago, I think he was like, when I'm close to being done with Thor, like you'll know. And the way that I took that was like, he's just going right now. And like, I mean, I'm sure that he has an idea or at least a blueprint plan of where he wants to end. But at least to me, it seems like he's just having fun doing it. And he's just going to keep writing until, you know, he decides.
Right away, big boy.
Exactly.
Right away.
I am 100% fine with that. Leave Kate's on Thor forever if it's up to me. Like I would be fine with that.
I really like his Thor, but I've got one small nitpick. I think because the first like Herald of Galactus, I think because that was so big, everything has just been lackluster. Not lackluster, like it's just been. It hasn't hit that peak yet.
Hasn't hit that height for you.
Yeah. He has like a heavy intro, but catching up past that.
Mm-hmm. I could definitely agree with that for sure. I mean, like you said, the Herald of Thunder, that was such a huge thing.
That was insane.
Yeah, and I remember reading that just like, wait, what's like the Black Winter and just you know, all that? Like it was huge.
Thanos as well. Thanos with Mjolnir.
Yeah, exactly. Which is still
nuts.
I'd say, which is still going to pay off. We still haven't seen all of that.
Yeah, I wonder what that means.
It could. There's theories that whole scene might be what we're seeing coming up in this new Eternals giant crossover. Because you know it's a three-way, right? The Judgment Day, we're getting X-Men, we're getting Avengers. Right, we're getting Eternals, all in and all out brawl. I'm Team Eternals. I know. Like
I think I might have to agree with you.
It's unpopular opinion, but I'm Team Eternals, like all the way. Like I'm so sorry, Krakoa fans. Like I don't need your little like murder prison island orgy palace. Like I'm out. No, thank you. Like let the Eternals reign. Right? You have Makari, who's like got Ajax's side, and Ajax says the biggest mistake she made 1,000,000 years ago is she let the Avengers live, right? Ajax does not make mistakes twice. So you got her and you got Makari with her, and then I'm pretty sure, is it Kingo or one of the others with them is like, nope, you know it was another mistake? We let the mutants live. They're technically a deviation, time we get rid of them. Like bro, you have pissed off the entire Great Machine. Both of you, same time. Like, if they don't get an ass whipping by the Eternals, it is a waste of an event. Period.
Yeah, but like, you can't get an ass whipping if you have Cap. You know,
the man is hard to argue with. The man is hard to argue with.
But yeah, so like you know, like Thanos is huge right now in this Eternals run. Are you guys reading the Eternals run by Kieran Gillen?
Yes. I just read issue 10.
Boy. So big spoilers on you, Cap. Thanos is back, and Thanos is angry, and Thanos is supreme eternal, right? Through manipulation. So this whole new arc that just started that's leading up to this war, right? And Thanos is on the rampage, and he has this end game that we can't see. But given it's the first time that like all three of these groups, right, from that vision Thor had are in one place, and Thanos is alive where he theoretically could acquire something like that. There are people who've been like, is this about to happen here? I don't think it's going to in this war. I think Kate's is saving that in the bag for something way down the line, and it's going to pay off.
I think what happens in the war is definitely going to be a catalyst for what is to come. But I don't think we're going to get the scene of Thanos standing over Thor with the Infinity Mjolnir. Like, I think that's still a little ways away.
Same.
Yeah, but this Eternals run though is really good. Cap, you should, and not only that, but I'm pretty sure the next issue is Kingo versus Cap.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I was going to pick that one up just because.
Yeah, you should, just for the cover, honestly. But speaking of Eternals 2, did you read issue 10 yet, Gorgon?
Done. Day one. Slap it.
Good. So, I mean, this isn't like crazy spoiler, but we were talking about Thanos. So there's a part in Eternals 10, but basically Thanos's parents are like prisoners and they're like alive. And Thanos is just like, oh, really? Bet. And he.
So sorry guys, we had a power outage on our end, but we're back. So TJ was about to spoil to Cap like issue 10, and then I ran my mouth instead, and I've decided like fuck issue 10. The Heretic is where it's at, right? Like this new, I don't know if it's a one shot, if we got multiples, but cause 10, right, you hear of like Thanos like smacking down his parents.
Yeah,
but
so that's what I was starting to talk about before we cut out.
The guy who tells him that no, your parents are here, they're not on the planet you think they're from, right? Because they're part of the machine, makes Thanos go, oh crap, yeah, that makes sense, huh? Is his grand uncle, but at the end of the issue he says, out of respect, he says, no thank you, grandfather, and calls him that instead. The Heretic is such a nutshell of power. And I feel like despite what's going on in the Eternals run, the Heretic is far more important for us understanding where Thanos' mindset is going into this war we're about to have, assuming he's still around by then. And I think he will, because there's no reason for him not to be, right? There's no reason to revive Thanos and bring him back into where we're at now in comics, unless you have some grand long-term scale plan for him as a villain, right? Either give us grandiose Thanos or don't give us Thanos at all. Mm-hmm. And I feel like shit's about to go down. And I think if people want to prepare for where we're about to be at in this war, yes, read the Eternals run, but read the Heretic. It is so good. I just cannot brag on Kieran Gillen enough. It's not his fault that the art in issue 10 made Carol look like a grandmother, okay? That is blasphemous. The story is great, but the art gave us Grandma Carol Danvers, right? She's going to show up to rescue a cat at your child's birthday party and be like, hi, sweetie, do you need caramels out in my baggie? Yeah, man.
Bro, and it hurts. It hurts too, because Asad Ribic is one of my all-time favorite artists, especially his Thor work. I love the man. So I do not want to throw any shade his way at all, but
I should end that with, I love his art in this run. Yeah, it's been awesome. Exactly. I think what he's doing with Eternals is great.
But Carol,
I don't know what happened with that one panel.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that one.
That one panel
was rough.
Her and Tony look like they've aged about 40 to 60 years apiece, right, between the two of them, and they're just sitting there being so do we break up the fight in the retirement home today, or do we go catch the early bird special?
Yeah, it was. I love you, Assad. If you're out there, please, I'm sorry, but
I'm the one firing all the shots. Issue 1, it's me.
But another thing about issue 10, though, we hit on just a little bit, and I wanted to just say before I cut out, but minor spoiler. When Thanos figures out his parents are in the machine, he literally spends like, I think it's like a couple hours, and he just like kills them over and over and over again. And it's just like, dude, what? Like, it's brutal, man. And it just, I don't know. I might make me sound like a weirdo, but I love that kind of stuff because I don't know. To me, Thanos is that's what he is. He's brutal. You know what I mean? And like I don't know if you guys read his origin series. I forget exactly. I mean, it's probably just called Thanos, but there's a part where he like tortures his mom basically, and it just like shows like how evil this dude is. You know what I mean? And like I think moments like that really show just like how freaking intense Thanos is, dude. And like just like holy shit, man. Like this guy is he's on another fucking level, dude.
So here's a question for you. Oh, you go first, Cap. You ask first. I want to hear your question.
Okay. So, speaking of Thanos, how do you think he was portrayed in the MCU? Do you think they've done a good job with him?
I mean, I'm an MCU shill, so you know, take all my MCU commentary with a grain of salt because I love basically everything. But I thought Josh Brolin as Thanos was one, fantastic, and two, I really enjoy the change of Thanos that they made, and not, don't get me wrong, I like in the books like the whole Lady Death and like, or you know, Mistress Death, and like him being in love with death. Like it's a very interesting concept, and it's cause for, you know, a lot of great storylines. But I really enjoy the MCU version of Thanos where he's not necessarily like in love with death, but he, at least to me, he's a man that's trapped with, like, kind of as he says, knowledge, you know, and he thinks that he's on this just whole other plane that, you know, everyone else just doesn't get it. And, you know, he's the only one that understands what has to be done. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think the best villains are always the ones who think they're the hero. And to me, in MCU, I think like if you watch Infinity War, but watch it under the guise of like, this is Thanos's movie, like Thanos is the hero of this movie, it completely changes like the whole aspect of what the movie is. And it's like, if you think about it from his point of view, again, he truly, honestly believes that by doing this, he's going to save billions of lives and countless planets and universes. And he really does believe that just everyone else just doesn't get it. And he's the only one that not only gets it, but is willing to do what has to be done in order for this, you know, peaceful utopia of a universe that he thinks is out there. And I don't know, I think that's just a very clever way to change his motivation, but keep it very similar. I think it's still similar to the comics, but I don't know, I loved it. And Josh Brolin's line delivery of like his monologues and stuff are just so good, like so good.
So you're a fan?
I guess you could say, yeah, I'm a fan.
I like that you bring up that it's the handsome Jack theory, right? And I think that's one of my important things that I try to remember when looking at villains in comics, right? Is everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole handsome Jack theory, that whole monologue he gives, right? Like if you've ever played Borderlands, right? To these vault hunters, it lets them know that you think you're the hero, you're not, right? From where he sits, he's the hero, and like they're just in the way. And that absolutely is a great lookout for villains. And I think some of the best villains are terrifying because you can relate to them and see that they think they're the hero here for X reason, mm-hmm. right? Like I saw some the other day asking, like particularly about Devil's Reign, why does Fisk, of all people, have an event, right? When there's all these other super powered, over the top, crazy villains that could have an event centered around them. And the reality is, Fisk is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, he
That's
is.
what I
And
was
I
gonna
think
say.
very
A lot of
similarly to what we're talking about, he kind of fits in that narrative as well of, you know, he truly believes that if he could get rid of Daredevil, that New York will be a better place. And he thinks that by getting rid of Daredevil and that whole thing, that New York will finally be the place that he imagines it to be, and like everything will be better. And obviously, he goes about it in very messed up ways, and it's a very warped sense of you know, peaceful New York, but ultimately, like, he truly believes that. And I think that makes him, like you said, that truly makes him terrifying.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate Fisk. Like, he's just big guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm just going to sum it up. I think a lot of people underestimate him.
No, same. And to go back to MCU, right? Like Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal was incredible, right? Right. That we got of him live action. And I think that really opened up a lot of people's eyes who had kind of slept on him comics to be like, oh crap, like this can actually be a real big bad player. And I feel like ever since then, we've got a lot more of Fisk being the big bad player that he is within Marvel, right? The MCU does have an effect on comics and viewer perception. And I think people are really starting to see him as the terrifying man that he really is. He's very terrifying. I love Spider-Woman, right? As everybody knows, like Jessica Drew's got to be one of my top 10 favorite people to come out of Spider, top 5, period. And he just takes her punches sometimes, right? Just eats it, just sinks it, and is like, I don't have time for you today, Spider-Woman. Like, what do you want? Right? Like, bro, to know this woman is to fear her, right? Like that's her freaking slogan. And Fisk is just like, oh God, what do you want? Like I
mean, Fisk has gone, I would have to, you know, brush up on my Fisk history a little bit, but Fisk has gone toe to toe with some of the heaviest hitters in the Marvel universe. Like Cap was saying, you know, he's not one to be slept on. Yeah, he might be this, you know, big bald dude, but you don't want to cross my man.
I am like, sure. Did any of you read the Winter Soldier tie-in for Devil's Reign?
I haven't yet.
Not yet.
Well, slight spoiler, slight.
Go for it.
Fisk absolutely mauls Winter Soldier. Like Bucky ends up running for his life, scared. You know, like
yeah,
a man that can do that to someone with a bionic arm. Shit's crazy, man.
Yeah, and the serum too. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Winter Soldier was a freaking assassin for how many years, and you know, for him to be running from Fisk, like not just like, oh, you know, he lost the fight, but his ass was running. That says something.
That's
I can't wait. Speaking of Vincent D'Onofrio, I cannot wait to get more Fisk live action, MCU action, because he is so good.
Fisk and Daredevil. I want more Bullseye too. I need more Bullseye and Elektra.
Yes. I really liked that guy. I don't know his actor name, but I really liked the guy that played Bullseye in season 3 of Daredevil. I thought he was really good.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah.
He looked enough like Charlie Cox with the mask on, right? When he donned the Daredevil costume to taunt him and everything, right? That it's almost like perfect.
Yeah.
Right? For how Bullseye would be around with Daredevil in the comics. Uncanny wise, like I know people like to say, oh, let's go back, you know, like I you know, call him back in the day as Bullseye, right? Like they're like, oh, it's actually like underappreciated. No, it's not. I literally just got comic book fucking perfection in a show, right? For this character, and you want to say that's the version that's underappreciated? Right? Like, this is perfect moment. Netflix did such a good job.
No shade too to Colin, because he went crazy with that, which I think back in those days, that's what it was, and not only that, but in the comics, Bullseye is a freaking wacko. So, Colin Colin went hard on the wacko scale, you know what I mean? And it's like it worked for that movie. But this guy, and like again, I feel bad, I don't know his name, I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I thought he was great as Bullseye, and I really liked the kind of angle they went with him, with the whole kind of I don't know if I necessarily want to say mental health, but his like kind of psyche kind of stuff that was going on with like obsessing over like those that girl and stuff. I thought that stuff was really cool, and like how Fisk played on that to get him to do the Daredevil thing. I thought that was really cool, and it was cool to see him have a little bit more depth than not just oh yeah, crazy dude who is really good at hitting shit.
I actually think Daredevil's probably the most comic accurate TV show out there.
I could agree with that,
Like,
for sure.
It's
Agreed.
it's just so good. Like,
It is so good.
it just reminds me of Frank Miller's run.
Oh, absolutely. Especially season 3. Like season
Yeah.
3 is literally Born Again on TV. Like it's,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's, subtle differences. It's not, page for page the same. But to me, the core of it is exactly the same. It's
Yeah.
like I said, I'm
Like,
watching the comic.
you can tell where the inspiration comes from,
Yeah.
which is like a major key that I personally look for. Like, if I can see, oh well, they've got something right. They've got the core of the film, or the core of the comic, the core of the story, embed it in the film. I'm like, yeah, a couple of extra points there.
Absolutely. The one thing I will say, though, I think some people, and I think we all know the kind of people I'm talking about, but they take comic accuracy just like way too literal. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love comic accuracy in these movies. Like when something is from, like when they pull stuff from the books, I love it. But at the same time, though, I think a lot of people don't understand like the MCU and like even like the DC EU and all that stuff. They're not the books. The books are the books. The movies are the movies. And while it's awesome that they do pull from these books, they don't have to. You know what I mean? Like if they like I said, the MCU is a completely different thing than the Marvel comic universe, right? So if they want to change something to make it fit into this movie universe that they have, to me, I don't really care. Like I really could care less, because like I said, if I want to read the comic, I'll read the comic. You know what I mean? They don't, to at least in my opinion, I don't think they have to translate everything exactly like it was in the book. Like if I want to read Daredevil Born Again, I'll go read Daredevil Born Again. It wouldn't, I mean, yeah, it'll be cool, but I think it's more exciting to see something that might have elements of that story, but it's a new thing. You get what I mean?
I completely agree.
Yeah,
as long as that, like I say, as long as you can tell where the inspiration comes from, that's
yeah, exactly.
You have me sold.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we haven't seen the show yet, obviously, so I won't go too down the rabbit hole on this, but like even just recently with the Miss Marvel trailer that came out, and like everyone is complaining about them changing her powers and like, oh, why would you change her powers? And I'm not even going to get into whether I like the change or not. Like that's kind of, semantics. But again, the way I look at it is like, yeah, it's different, but it's still similar. And like, she's got a big ass hand. Like as long as she punches someone or like smacks someone with a huge hand, like I'm happy with that. And like, yeah, it might be a little different, but it doesn't need to be exactly like the comics. Like this Kamala Khan, this Miss Marvel is going to be the Miss Marvel of the MCU. It's not Miss Marvel from the books. So
right.
Like if they are going to change it, like I said, I'm not, and that's not even saying I like the change. Like I could watch it and I absolutely hate the change. But again, to me, it's not like a deal breaker. Like, oh, it's not her powers aren't exactly the same. I don't want it. Like, don't even touch me,
And maybe this is a stretch, but I feel like when it comes to the fans are like, it has to be like comic accurate to a T, shot for shot, perfect. I feel like they don't actually believe what they're saying. And the reason I say that is the Old Guard exists as a movie. And I never hear comic Twitter talking about how beautifully perfect it is, shot for shot accuracy, word for word in speeches, scene for scene, timeline, everything, right? From the comics to the big screen, right? The minor changes they made were necessary in order to set up for where they're going for the second one, right? Because they're jumping ahead in the story bit, and I get that. But it was like, when I say shot for shot, page to comic, word for word, bubble by bubble, speech for speech, like I am not kidding, right? When we talk comic accuracy from comic to big screen, it is probably, if we're defining comic accurate, right, as in it came right off the book straight to the page, or from the page to the big screen, it's probably the most perfect. But nobody talks about how perfect it is in that regard. So like, I don't feel like the accuracy people really care. They just want what makes them feel comfortable saying it's accurate, right? They want enough to feel like they know everything.
Yeah, like I said, it just really feels like people just wanting to, like, I don't know. I don't want to paint anyone under the same brush, but it just seems like a lot of these people, they want to hate whatever it is, like whether it's Spider-Man or Miss Marvel or whatever, they want to hate it. So they'll just take any little thing they can as an excuse to hate it. So they're like, oh, they changed her powers. Perfect. Now I can justifiably hate this show. I can justifiably be like, this show sucks because they changed this. And like I said, just, who cares, man? Like that one meme, fictional characters, bro. Like, these are made up people. Like, whoever is writing the character at the time can do whatever they want. Like, you know,
I say give it a chance. Like, I feel like you'll see me say it all the time. I feel like I'm a big defender of comics that get like hate before they're released, right? I will buy comics that I wasn't going to because people are hating them before they even come out, right? Like, I give it a chance to exist and be on the shelf, and like give it a read before you just shoot it down, right? Have an opinion. I think we can all look at one of Cap's favorite runs, right? And one of my personal favorite Cap runs, right? Nick Spencer's whole big one he had going on to Secret Empire, right? The world owes that man an apology. And it was people reacted to art and concept art, right, with initial reaction, with no context, and just went off. And I feel like at some point you think comic fans would learn from their past mistakes and not do that stuff anymore. You would think.
We'll never learn, Morgan. We'll never learn.
Oh man, they're stuck in a Ken loop.
I actually have some bad news. I'm going to have to shoot on.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. I guess we'll all just have to see Cap and the rest of us on the next podcast issue.
Oh yes. So
guess we're all gonna have to come back.
Yes, so all you guys are gonna have to come back. That we're gonna have to wrap this first episode up. Our young man Cap has jujitsu. He is, by the way, he is Captain America in real life. So
that's right.
Train. But coming down the pipeline for you guys, we got a lot of cool stuff going on. This next episode you guys can look forward to. We are going to be talking all about Banner of War. So that's going to include Thor. We're going to be talking the newest run of Hulk. It's going to be awesome. We're super excited about it, and we just cannot wait to nerd out about all things Thor and Hulk.
Spider Hulk. That's it.
Yes, Spider Hulk.
Spider Hulk.
Bro.
Say, Cap, you got to catch up, and everyone else out there, you got to catch up, because we're going to be talking all things Thor and Hulk. So if you're behind, catch up, because spoilers will be ahead.
We'll catch you guys on the next issue.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Right. Goodbye, guys.
See ya.
It's been wonderful.
I got this all day.